Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. It is wonderful to be back here at the home of truth. I just love it. I just love it because, as we name ourselves, then the universe calls us out on it, right? So you all get to be called out. I'm going to say we. We get to be called out every time we say that. Home of truth. This is the what? Where are we? Okay, then. So let us tell some truth up in here today, as we do every Sunday. I'm going to start the way I like to start, which is on my notes, I put down pray myself in. And by pray myself in, I mean pray all of us in. I mean, to go to that place where we know that regardless of appearances, regardless of opinions, there is actually only one of us here. We know, we declare, we accept. I know, I declare, and I accept that Oludumare, God, the goddess, the good, to which there is no opposite, is resonating in, through, and as each one of us, and in, through, and as all of this service, all of the words spoken here today. I declare that from my heart to your heart, from your heart to my heart, there is a holy and sacred conversation going on in this sacred space right here, right now, today. I release this word and speak these words, knowing that it is indeed not me, but the Mama God within that doeth the work. I release this prayer, I release this word to the law, knowing that it's done and done exceedingly well. And so it is. And so it is. So, of course, I did my due diligence. I wrote the things that I thought I was supposed to talk about. And then, I got in my car and I drove here. And on the way here, I noticed, which I've probably noticed before, I remember making some kind of a mental note that this community is located around numerous communities. Yes, there are numerous spiritual communities, religious communities, like within walking distance of this corner. But this morning, I happened to notice that the Latter-day Saints are diagonally across. That is the Mormons, for those of us who don't know the term Latter-day Saints. Now, why do I mention this? I mention this because then, as we got to doing our vision and mission statement, that second part of the vision statement says, honor diversity of people, ideas, and spiritual teachings. And this is the juice right here. Celebrate. Celebrate, y'all. Celebrate. That means like, yay, hip, hip, hooray. Celebrate the unity that underlies all differences. Celebrate the unity that underlies all differences. I invite us to consider there was a way in the civil rights movement where someone would shout, the leader would shout, "What time is it?" Right? And depending on the audience, people would say things like, "It's freedom time, it's unity time, it's love time." It is time for us to celebrate the unity that underlies all differences. Because as we celebrate, when we are in a celebratory consciousness, we are in a consciousness and an awareness and a state of being that allows us to be open and receptive, right? Right? Ever have a funky feeling when you're at a party? Yeah? Right? So when we're talking about celebrate, like we celebrate birthdays, we lift up, We are inviting ourselves to go to a consciousness and an awareness that opens up the heart and spirit in such a way that we absolutely get to not only see the good and praise it, but we get to identify ourselves with it and to extract from it that which we can take into our everyday way of being. Somebody say amen. Amen. All right, all right, all right. Okay, now back to what I thought I was talking about today, and I'm determined, to get there. There is a piece there where Spirit said, start at the end. And my thought when I got that download, that direction, was indeed this idea that comes from Stephen Covey, a Mormon. Begin with the end in mind. Have you all ever heard that? Has anyone ever, are you familiar with that? Begin with the end in mind. Now, I point out that he was, because he's now left the physical body, a Mormon, because I'm also inviting you to consider that my coming here and passing the Mormon church was both a confirmation and an affirmation of this idea of celebrate the unity that underlies all differences, right? And I'm saying that to invite us to be attentive as we're walking the world, because when we affiliate and associate ourselves with spiritual communities, as we have all done here, then what we're giving is a message to the universe to use me. We're sending a message that says, I am open and available to whatever it is that the divine has in store for me, that I have already said yes to. Because in these things we call truth teachings, right? We declare, we speak our word to the thing, and we make it so. What we sometimes do not allow ourselves to remember, which is time. It's time. What time is it? It's freedom time. What time is it? It's truth-telling time. It is time for us to recognize, that is to know again, that in that process that we call our prayer work, that what we are in fact doing is opening ourselves to be used by the divine. Pause, take a breath. I may not have quite known that that's what I was doing. I may have thought that I was simply speaking my good into being. I may have thought I was simply speaking my word for that perfect job, for perfect health, for that right partner. I may not have thought about in the moment that the path to those things are scattered with other God beings. Yes? Yes, even if my right job is my own business, I still got to talk to somebody. I got to get some business insurance. I got to talk to somebody. I've got to be with somebody. I've got to be in the experience and the opportunity of recognizing, knowing again, that we may be coming at the thing from different angles, but we are arriving in the same place. Back to my start at the end. So I am going to wrap with these 7 forms of generosity, but I want to start with where these 7 forms of generosity came from. So these 7 forms of generosity came from a website called Trinity Family Wealth. I looked at that and I looked at what it said. I looked at that and I looked at what it said. So I was really all in love with what it was saying. Yeah, but I kept looking at that. Trinity, Trinity, Trinity. What's that? I've heard that someplace before. But you know, Google will tell you everything you need to know and some things you probably don't need to know. So I went to Google and I looked it up. And what I discovered is that Trinity, family wealth, and by the way, in order to participate as a teacher for Trinity Family Wealth, you have to be what's called a certified kingdom advisor. Mm-hmm. A certified kingdom advisor. Now we can just kind of guess where we're going with that, right? We can just kind of guess who might be considering themselves as certified kingdom advisors. Yeah? Yeah? Might be some people that we might think, oh, I don't know if I can be quite with that program. Wait, see, I even have to keep looking at it, right? Because I have to remind myself. Celebrate the unity that underlies all differences. Take a breath. Yeah, celebrate the unity that underlies all differences. So the nugget that I pull out of even certified kingdom advisors, because prosperity is kind of one of my favorite things to teach and to learn about and to have the opportunity to have other people join me in expanding, right? The thing I took away from that was that, because you know I went and looked, in order to be a certified kingdom advisor, however, you got to know what you're talking about. What does that mean? That means that you either have to be a certified public accountant, you have to be an attorney specializing in businesses and finances, or you have to be a certified, as in trained, financial advisor, right? So any and everybody can't just walk up and say, I love Jesus. Can I be a certified kingdom advisor? Right? So there's some richness in that. And there's some opportunity in that for us to recognize, I'm talking about what we know and know that we know in the ways that we walk the world, to recognize and to know that there is the opportunity. Now we're coming back to home of truth. We're coming to new thought, right? To know that Oludumare, God, the goddess, the good, to which there is no opposite, resides everywhere, is everywhere present. And so I have not just the opportunity, but the responsibility to go and get whatever it is that the world is calling me to come and get, to expand the way that I show up in the world. That means if I'm calling myself a healer, go to medical school. Yeah? Yeah? Y'all they're looking at me. They're looking at me. Let me talk to the camera. I'm going to talk to the people on Zoom. They looking at me. They like, but you know, we are healing presence. And I'm a practitioner, and I'm a minister, and I'm a healing presence. So what's she telling me to go to medical school for? What I am suggesting is that, yes, we are a healing presence as ministers and as practitioners. Yes, our prayer work is powerful. And in my particular denomination, as we call ourselves the science of mind, we get to ask, how can we be about God's business by also having medical professionals in our midst? Yes? Yes? Sometimes, and I'm going to move on after I say this, but sometimes in our woo-woo-ness, we decide that we don't need the certifications, or we don't need the formal trainings out there in the world. So I'm simply, and I frankly don't even know who I'm talking to, because this is way off the talk, But we sometimes need to go do the work. We sometimes need to go do the work. We need to do the research. My bridge back is this. The world that works for everyone, or what I say is the world in which everyone has the opportunity to thrive, is a world that we are about co-creating, and it is a world that many of us are not going to see come into fruition because it's going to take a minute. We have the opportunity and the responsibility to go get ourselves some tools, to go get ourselves some learning and some knowledge and some experience, read, practice with living generosity. Yes, that is my title for today, living generosity. The word generosity itself, just when you say that, generosity. Generosity. It just has all this stuff. I just got goose pimples, right? It has all the good stuff in it, even as you say it. The formal definition, that is the Webster's online dictionary, defines generosity as the quality or fact of being generous, a person of great generosity, abundance, great generosity of spirit. Now, they did the thing our English teachers told us never to do, which is to define the word with the word itself. So then I had to go look up generous, which is open-handed, a generous benefactor. This is when they now give you examples, right? Marked by abundance or ample proportions, wide overhangs, generous verandas, copious, look at the words they're using, copious, ample, abundant, characterized by a noble or kindly spirit. And now here's one of those other words, kind of like generosity, magnanimous. Magnanimous, isn't that a beauty? Magnanimous, kindly, a generous heart. I invite us to consider that we cannot live from a spirit of generosity unless we springboard from a spirit of love. Ernest Holmes invites us to consider, and this is in the 1926 Science of Mind textbook, he invites us to consider this. We live in a universe of law and a universe of love. The law of God is perfect, and the love of God is also perfect. The law of God is the way in which the Spirit works. The love of God is the self-givingness. Can we say generosity is the self-givingness of the Spirit to its creation? We were created out of love. It implies there that love has a substance to it, and we were created out of that. The unity of love and law produce a harmonious universe and a perfect creation. Amen? Amen. Amen. Sister Annie Ricks Millets, we know who she is around these parts. She is one of the founders, was one of the founders of this place, Home of Truth. She says, and she says this in her book, Prosperity Through the Knowledge and Power of Mind. She says, your goodness overflows in generous, there's that word again, your goodness overflows in generous service to all, not to some, not to just the New Thought people, not to just the Christian Science, religious science, science of whatever people, all people, to the Mormon people, to the Catholic people, right, to the Hebrew nation, to the Muslim people. Now, notice that I'm sticking with religions right here, and I'm doing that for purpose. I'm doing that because I'm inviting us to consider that the place that we're standing in, this place and this thing and this expression and this experience that we are up to co-creating is one which requires that we have a spiritual anchoring or foundation. This is not the time to make it up, y'all. And it's the time to make it up. We call ourselves co-creators with spirit. Yeah? Yeah. That means that we've got within ourselves everything that we need to be co-creators. And there's folks out there that have within themselves things that we need to be co-creators with spirit. And so what we get to do is we get to go out there and work with those folks. We get to go out there and avail ourselves of the wisdom and the knowledge that they bring. In the first chapter of this wonderful, wonderful book, if you have not read it, I suggest you do. It is called The Book of Joy, Living Happiness in a Changing World. And this book is written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu. It is, in fact, a conversation between the two of them. And the gentleman that is accompanying them, if you will, that is witnessing this, his name is Douglas Abrams. In one of the early chapters of this book, he describes a conversation that he had with a neuroscientist, Richard Davidson. And in this conversation, the neuroscientist said that there are 4 independent brain circuits that influence our lasting well-being. I'm going to say that again. There are 4 independent brain circuits that influence our lasting well-being. The first is our ability to maintain positive states. The second is responsible for our ability to recover from negative states. The third, oh, and by the way, all of these circuits are independent. The third circuit is our ability to focus and avoid mind wandering. Are we paying attention? Avoid mind wandering. That's the third one. But the fourth and final circuit is our ability to be generous. Can the church say amen? Amen. Amen. Our ability to be generous. And he goes on to say, it's no wonder that our brains feel so good when we help others or are helped by others, or even witness others being helped. Yes, we know this. We can go to anything. In the moment I'm thinking about the baby in the well or the boys in the cave, right? As we watched all over the planet, those babies get rescued, we felt good, yeah? Yeah, we even witnessing generosity, we get to feel some kind of way. And when we are the ones who are expressing the generosity, it gets even better. Again, the fourth and final circuit is our ability to be generous. Amen, amen, amen. I'm going to close with coming back to love, and then I'm going to wrap with what Trinity Family Wealth has to share with us about generosity. Again, back to Ernest Holmes, and this time from the 1930s 1938 version of the Science of Mind. And I just really want to suggest that if you don't have or have not seen the 1926 version, you should get that. Right? That was when he was in his period of, I'm putting this out here because Spirit is telling me to put it out here. I'm not going to censor myself. I don't know if people are going to buy this or not, or really go for it or not, but I'm doing my part because I'm divinely guided to do that, right? Once he got and understood, oh, this is catching on. Ah, Suki Suki. Okay, let's bring a team together. We're going to edit it, and we're not going to talk quite about things like psychism and stuff like that, because now we all formal. Yes? So then we get the 1938 version, which is the version that we use in our classes and all of that. But seriously, get yourself the 1926, and you can get it electronically as well. Ernest Holmes says in the 1938, the, prim, pris, and proper version, love is the givingness of self to the object of its adoration. We should all have something that we love to do, something that will completely express the self, that will loose the energies of life into action and transmute the power into creative work. We should learn to love all people, not just some people. Trinity Family of Wealth tells us that there are 7 forms of generosity: thoughts, words, money, time, things, influence, and attention. Thoughts, words, money, time, things, influence, and attention. And then they go on to advise us to take 3 actions. The first is to model, be generous, practice using all 7 forms. Over time, others will catch the joy of living generously. Secondly, encourage. Discuss opportunities. Talk about it, y'all, for giving in areas of our family members' interest, but do not apply pressure to give, right? We can't force anybody, but we can drop little nuggets of wisdom. And finally, engage. Share stories and engage in conversation about what is happening to us, what my experience is as I walk the world as a generous person. Share stories and engage in conversation about what is happening to us and others through generous living. Ashe, amen, amen, aho, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.